Hello and welcome to this month's edition of the Spotlight on Aurora Schools show. I'm Pat Sicantelli, Superintendent of the Aurora City Schools, and today with me I've got special guests. I've got 4 teachers who are scholars from the ILEP program, which is run through Kent State University. We're going to meet 2 of them here for our first segment. So I'm going to welcome Hassan to the show first. Hassan, if you tell us, say your name in your native language, if you would, and what country you're from, and a little bit about your teaching background.
Thank you, Mr. Sicantelli, for welcoming us in here. Well, I am Hassan Sow. I'm from Senegal, West Africa. I am a teacher of English, and I've been teaching for 16 years now. I'm teaching in a secondary school. And yes, after my graduation as a master's, in a master's program, so I went to the teaching training school where I got 2 degrees actually, and then those degrees sent me to my position as a teacher nowadays.
Yeah. So tell me what you find most rewarding or enjoyable about being a teacher.
Being a teacher is really passionate, and what is most rewarding is the fact of being in an environment where everybody loves you. Because actually, as we're teaching children, and children are natural, so this love is something rewarding. Another thing is when you feel that you having an impact on person's life or multiple lives, and every time you can witness them in receiving an email or a message from a former student, something like that, this is also something rewarding. Another thing that is maybe rewarding again is being in a dynamic environment, because school is actually dynamic. You may seem that it is a routine, but every time you are at school, you have that, you every time eager to do better. And this keeps you every time staying there, even though sometimes you may say, well, I am tired, I need to change, I need to go to something different, but it still keeps you this. And maybe the last thing I would mention as a reward is it's always good to provide service for me. As you're passionate for education, helping people is something that is really important for me in life. Okay,
very good, thank you. So our other guest is Majd. Majd, you from Morocco. Tell us about, again, say your name in your native language, if you will. Tell us where you're from and your experience as a teacher.
So my name is Mohamed Majd, and people call me Majd. So I am a high school teacher of English. I started the journey of teaching as a junior high school teacher, and after that I got my MA in cross-cultural and literary studies, and this helped me to go through the high school teaching. And in Morocco we have like English as a second language, second foreign language. So we studied at the level of high schools at the beginning, and after that we had a new change in the educational system. So we start having it from early age. So our students now study English at the junior high school.
Yeah. So what other foreign languages do students in Morocco study?
So in Morocco there is French and English, German and Spanish as well.
Okay.
But the majority of Moroccan people speak French, and actually there has been a debate over the use of English or French. I mean, in the educational system in general, what should our pupils study? English first or French first. So it has been like a great debate among the Moroccan educators.
Yeah.
And it is up to now. But still we have French as the first foreign language and English as the second foreign language in Morocco. And the few people speak German and Spanish. Most of those who speak German just they want to go to Germany for to further their education. That's why they opted.
I see.
Yeah.
So you've been here at Aurora High School now for a couple months. Certainly you're becoming more comfortable and familiar with it. Tell us what's similar to the day of a student in an American high school versus your experience in Morocco.
So to be honest with you now, I mean there are maybe if we make a comparison that will be very hard in a short time to elaborate on it, but I am going to give you just some synopsis of it. So for me, I mean you start school early. I noticed this, for example, you start school at 7:30 or 7:40. I mean in my country we start at 8, and the amount of time spent in school for students is more than the amount spent for my students. For example, in Morocco, you can have a student, he studies, I mean, for one day, 2 hours, and then he comes back home. Here now, I mean, any student or each student will come to school from 7:30 to 2:30 p.m., which is completely different from the context where I teach. Again, if you talk about the American students in Aurora, I think that they are fully interested in their studies. I see that they are very hardworking, and they are really equipped with the necessary tools in terms of technology, and I think that this has helped them a lot to go deeper in terms of knowledge. Also, I noticed that there is that kind of ambition. I mean, when I talk with students in the whole of the schools and I try to talk about their future, they are really very ambitious about what they want, and they know what they want to do. And this is something, because if you make a comparison with the Moroccan students, you can find him at the final stages at the high school, and he is struggling of what he wants to do. I mean, American students in an early age, I mean, he discovers or he notices what he wants to have and works for it in an early stage, which is very good. Yeah.
So how many of the students in your school at Morocco would go on to higher education past high school versus how many would just finish with their high school education?
You mean I mean, how much time do they need?
How many will go to university?
How many will go?
What percentage? Half of them?
As a percentage, I can say, but the majority of them go to the university, even if they don't go so, because there is here in my country, university is not a good place for education. That's what they consider. They consider that going to work is better. Having like an institution for teachers, an institution for example, engineers is better. To apply in those institutions is better than going to the university, because they have in mind that if they carry on university and they will have their BAs or their MAs and they will not have a job. You see, because they have this idea that the educational system doesn't provide the job markets or doesn't provide students with the necessary skills for job markets. So this is the
you want
perception.
very specific skills.
Yeah.
Very
For
good.
example, they say English. What are you going to do with English outside? I mean, if you have English literature BA, what are you going to do with? I mean, they are not going to talk about the Garden Party or Shakespeare or stuff. You see, some students are very smart. They say, no, we wanna be in a place or in an institution in which we can provide us with job skills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Hassan, how about in Senegal? Tell us a little bit about how is it different, the average day for a high school student versus what you've experienced in America?
Well, in Senegal, I can say it's totally different, because I'll simply start with the periods. Here in the US, the periods are less than an hour, 50 minutes most of the time. But in my country, most of the classes, the period is 2 hours. And we tend to lose a lot of time in this because I've seen here people do a lot in 50 minutes. While back in my country, people may tend that 2 hours is, yeah, I have enough time so I can run slowly, and this keeps you wasting time. Students, they spend the whole day at school maybe, and they might learn a little bit. While here, they do not actually spend the whole day. They're not here for a lot of time, but they learn a lot of things.
So your school day is actually longer than ours.
Yeah, it's
So
longer.
in Morocco, much shorter, but in Senegal, much longer.
It's longer because we start at school in Senegal at 8, and for those schools who do not have maybe that lunch break, because actually we have two type of school, those who have 8-12 and then have a 3 hours lunch break and resume at 3 up to 7.
Wow.
Other schools may have just a 30 minutes lunch break and then keep on up to 4. But suppose that they're doing 8 hours. In 8 hours, most of them they do 4 subjects. And in those 4 subjects, they may learn, to what I've seen here, they may learn just a little bit from what they have to, and then they have spent all the day at school.
Mm-hmm.
So they will not have enough time at home to learn to go through all what they have learned at school, and they're not given also that chance to do research, because actually our focus is kind of being teaching to the tests, while here it's totally different. People seems to help students to succeed in their life. We do that, but it seems that the focus is not there. We just focusing on the exams, and then this makes most of the time students who got their degrees but who do not know where they want to go or what they want to do in their life. So I believe this is something that we need to ponder over, and maybe start a new curriculum or a new syllabus where the focus would be critical thinking, and it's gonna be more life, meaning thinking of having the students maybe learn something that can help them in their life.
So what does a day look like for a teacher in Senegal? Are they there the whole time? How many kids do they have in their classroom? Give us some ideas of what that looks like.
Well, in Senegal, most of the time we have large classes. Large classes, you can have up to 100 students in a class. But the teacher himself, he does not spend the day in the school. It depends just on his timetable. He may come on Monday, not come on Tuesday, come back on Wednesday, depending on just the schedule he has. Actually, you have an amount of hours to do per week. Secondary school teachers, they have to teach 21 hours maximum. But in some cities or in the towns, due to the number of teachers we have in the schools, you may see one teacher who have just 14 hours. And those 14 hours will be spread in the week. So you may have 2 hours Monday, 4 hours Tuesday, 2 hours Wednesday, up to Saturday.
Yeah.
So this is...
But when you're in your classroom, you have up to 100 students in your class.
Yeah,
so very different.
You may have up to 100. In my school, we're not that... we don't have those big classes. The average class in my school is 55 students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, amazingly, we're running out of time here, but I do appreciate very much getting some insight into what you guys have experienced here in the United States and here in Aurora. So interesting to hear the differences in what you're used to in your native countries. But it's been a pleasure to have you here in our school district, and I'm so glad you could share with us on our show today. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with 2 more of our iLab Scholars right after this break. Hello and welcome back. We've got two more of our scholars from the ILEP program at Kent State, and then we're going to meet them right now. So we'll start with Willis. Willis, tell us about yourself and your experience as a teacher.
I'm Willis Welvis Chito. I come from Uganda. Uganda is located in East Africa. Not a very big country, almost the size of Ohio State. I teach in Masaka Secondary School, a school with a population of over 4,000 students. I've had all my entire education in Uganda throughout university, where I did a bachelor's degree in biology and ICT as an educationist. Then I did a master's degree in business administration.
Okay.
I did a postgraduate diploma in computer science.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've been teaching for the past 15 years. As a teacher, all the magic is in the classroom. Yeah, we need to see, like I've told you, I have that background of business administration.
Right.
It's like being on a value chain. So you see these young kids come in school, they spend 6 years in secondary school, you see them change each year, and by the time they graduate, by the time they leave to go to university, you're seeing something really, really different out of them. And it's my role as a teacher to see them change. I'm an agent of change in a classroom. And one of the reasons why I'm here, it's because of my role as a teacher leader in my school where I come from.
So we've talked now about this ILEP program through Kent State. Obviously, it's international teachers who are coming. Tell us what encouraged you or what made you want to come to the United States to be a part of this program?
The program is quite competitive. Like, very many teachers would like to come, given what you expect from it. For all the teachers who have come to this program, coming expecting to learn more knowledge and acquire more skills, best practices in teaching, and also have that very unique culture exchange with the American people. When I saw that, this was an opportunity for me to get. So many of my colleagues, like in Uganda, we applied over 1,000 teachers to come to the program.
Wow.
Only 5 lucky ones made it through.
Yeah.
And it's like, given the background, many of the teachers who come on this program are teachers of English. Because like, we have that online application, and from there we go into the interviews, after which we have to go and sit for the English proficiency exam. So all that is screening. And I think I'm very lucky to be here as a teacher of science, having gone through all that screening and made it here. So I take advantage of being here.
So share with us which teacher at Aurora High School you're working with, and what's been the most impressive thing that you've experienced so far working at Aurora High School?
I've worked closely with Miss Mary Pat Pavisic. She's, I mean, for the 2.5 months I've worked with her, I've watched her conduct classes, I've watched her plan for classes. She's highly skilled in what she's doing. And like I always say, personally, I'm lucky to be going to Aurora. From my personal research, it's one of the best schools around, best high schools around. And I was attached to such a school, where I found that almost all the teachers who come to Aurora hires the best. And them being the best, they are given all the best conditions to make them stay. So she is so passionate in the way she conducts her classes. She always comes up with something new for every lesson that goes on, and I've learned really a lot from her. The most important thing about it all is she's good at sharing. So she's like, whatever you feel I can help you out with, I'll give it to you. And I've learned a lot from her. I had that digital divide, using technology in classrooms. She has exposed me to classrooms. She has exposed me to use of smart boards. And I've got chance to teach in Aurora. So she gave me chance to teach in her classes, and it was quite intriguing.
Yeah.
standing in front of the American students and conducting lessons.
Very good, Willis. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Niranjan, tell us again, introduce yourself, tell us where you're from and your experience as a teacher.
Okay, thank you. I'm from Bangladesh, and you know, in Bangladesh, to be a teacher, you have to complete graduation degree, and then you have to finish masters, then you can go for that. In my case, I did honors and masters in mathematics, then I did PhD in ICT. After that, I just go for, it's called TKT, Teaching Knowledge Test, as a part of like teaching certificate. It's from under Cambridge University in UK. So I'm teaching nearly last 13 years, and now I just in my school as a senior teacher, and I'm leading my subject in there. The teachers who are other teachers are there. So it's a good school where I'm working now. I think it's a very good school, and the quality of education, I think, good enough. But still, it's a good opportunity to come here and have seen the Aurora High School.
Yeah.
It's another good school I have seen. Whatever I have seen, it's like excellent school in my opinion, and it's a great opportunity to me, like to see what the American teachers doing in their classroom, what strategy they are using, what kinds of like technology they used. That's all
Yeah.
about.
So, tell me which teacher you're working with at Aurora High School, and then share with me what's different about American students versus students in Bangladesh. How would you compare them?
Okay, so I'm working with Casey Burrows, and what I feel that the teaching style actually, like in my country, most of the time we just focused on directed teaching, but here what I see in that student center learning, and students are like they are just care themselves, they can they're individual learners. But in my country, we are just most of the time we directed learning. But still, now we are just changing our attitude. Like now, lots of training program is going on. Even we have some colleges where teacher must go for training. Even the trainer, that is master trainer, they're coming different countries to look and watch around what the system they are following, and then going back home and they're training the teachers that the student centered learning and like active engaging learning. So what I have seen in Aurora High School, the students are, I will say, different, because I have seen in my life the very well behaved students in the class, and I had a chance to go and like present something like our cultural presentation and have like co-teaching with them with Casey Burrows, and I found that even if they are like sometimes they're working, they're very well behaved. So I think I will say that they have done something, or our teachers or the administration, they have done something that students became like that.
Yeah, we have. Well, a lot of that credit actually goes, I think, to their parents too.
Yeah,
obviously,
sure.
they come to school and they
Sure,
want to
yeah,
learn and they
yeah.
value education. So,
Yeah.
Willis, tell me about in your native country, what is it like for the students? Do they go to school? Is their day the same? Do most of them go to university? How long is the day? Some of the things we talked about with the others.
I'll just give you some simple statistics. It's quite unfortunate that if you had put 100 students to start school in primary one, in my country we have a structure of 7 years at primary, 6 years at secondary, then 3 years at university,
Okay.
all 5. So every after each stage they sit for national exams. So if you had 100 students starting school in the first year, they will sit a national exam after 7 years to leave primary. Then you'll have like 30% dropping off.
Okay. If they don't do well on the exam.
They don't do well in the exam. And then there is also another issue of money, because parents must pay school fees. So you have two key factors. You have the factor of passing on your grades. You have the factor of your parents having the money to pay for school.
Continue.
So when you go to secondary school where I teach, you have 6 years. But within the 6 years, for the first 4 years, what we call O-level, you must sit for national exams. You have now, out of the 70, like 20 dropping off. Okay?
So now you're down to about
With the
half.
same factors, you're now done by a half. Someone will pass, but without money to keep them pushing on. Someone will not pass the grades, even if the money is there. Then you go for the 2 years, what we call A-level. Here you're preparing for university. And again, this one will slash like 25%. So you see how it goes on trickling down.
Right.
But in between there, government is coming up with other like avenues whereby some of this would drop off can go like technical institutions and all that stuff. Yeah. Then another issue, which is right contrary to what I've seen in Aurora, is all about special needs students. In my country, the education system and the process is not inclusive. We lessly mind about the special needs,
Right.
which is a really, really bad thing. Because when I was doing my bachelor's degree in education, I had to opt for a special needs course. And I really know what it means. When I came to Aurora, I'll keep saying this is a model school. It's one of the best schools in the US. You have inclusive, your inclusive education, whereby you cater for the physically and mentally retarded students. And they are all treated as if they are one. They even have more special support,
Right.
like I've seen.
Right.
Yeah, so here we would be saying there are special schools for those, and special schools meaning you need special people to teach them, then you need more money. Even for the mere physically, say, disadvantaged students, they will not find good facilities. Like if a child is moving in a wheelchair, you'll find schools built with stairs, which doesn't,
Yeah.
help them move on with their
Right,
education.
right.
Okay, if you go to the washrooms, you don't find facilities tailored for that particular person.
Right.
So that's the major difference I've seen, and that is the most touching difference I've seen in the
Yeah,
education
very
system.
good. And that's interesting because I think
Yeah.
the United States is a world leader
Yeah.
in what they do to provide education to students
Sure.
with special needs. We're very, very
Yeah.
inclusive as a country and,
Yeah.
and very proud of that, of course. So Niranjan, tell us about students in Bangladesh. What is it like to be a high school student? How long are they in school? Do they go to university? What does it look like for them?
Okay, well, it's a good question. Like in Bangladesh, high school starts from 6 to like grade 10, then they will go for college. So in high school, our school starts from 10 o'clock and finishes at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
And in between them, they have like one lunch break, maybe 45, some schools 45, some schools 1 hour lunch break.
Right.
And the students like who are just in grade 6, they will give a government exam in grade 8. So if they cannot pass, they will stay another year in this grade. Then you have to pass, then
Right.
they will go for grade 9.
Okay.
And after 9 and 10, they will go for another government exam, and that is the whole country in a same day, same question paper. So they have to cross this exam.
Yeah.
If they
yeah.
pass, then they will go 11, 12. And after 11, 12, there will be another exam. So if they can pass, then they can go for admission test in
Okay, to
universities.
university. And Niranjan, I'm sorry that I have to cut
It's
you off,
okay.
but unfortunately, again, our time goes so fast. So thank you guys very much for sharing with us your experiences. We really appreciate that. I hope you enjoyed our show today. We ran out of time, but boy, it was a great opportunity to talk and learn about from 4 teachers from across the world who are here with us this semester at Aurora High School.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day.